What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Land Sports Show. I'm your host, Kevin Sleds. Good thing we didn't go live a few minutes ago. With me tonight, I've got James, Derek, and welcome back, Joey, from your little layoff. How you guys doing?
Thank you, Sledgehammer.
Oh, this is going to be a good night.
Doing better now.
We got a lot of stuff to talk about, Kevin. But before we jump into all the stuff we want to talk about, I do want to one big shout out. Travis Bazzana today for the Lake County Captains hit his first not only home run but grand slam. He was 2 for 4 with 2 walks and also his first stolen base. 3 runs and 4 RBIs. So crushing it down there over here at Lake County, and he's looking every bit as that of the first round pick as we hoped he would.
It's funny that you mentioned that because
Rose. Bazzana hammers it deep right field. This ball is history. Home run number 1 for draft pick number 1. And it's a grand slam.
courtesy of the Lake County Captains MILB stream, Travis was on his first of many career home runs, a grand slam. And he's off to a great start after an 0 for 3 debut. He's 4 for his last 8. So he's shook off the opening jitters, and he's kicking some ass now.
The Bazzmanian Devil, as they call him. I'm serious. That's what they call him. That's
a great nickname.
I like it.
Yeah. I couldn't get Gavin the Great started when Gavin Williams was pitching down there.
That would have been good.
Gavin the Great is a great nickname too.
I'm willing to bet he would like that.
That was he did like it, as a matter of fact. It's just couldn't he wasn't there long enough for me to get to catch on. Yeah, I wasn't there long enough for it to catch on, or he wasn't there long enough for it to catch on. But I mean, that is what you want to see out of your the number 1 pick, especially he's starting high A. I would not be surprised to see him probably finish the year in Double A. If I'm being a little bold, maybe even higher. You never know. It just depends on the run he goes on. But he is looking every bit of that number 1 pick that we hoped, and hopefully he keeps it up, because I think the sky's the limit for him.
I want to see him at second base next season, opening day.
What do you want to see him as?
Shortstop.
I like
Don't
it.
ask where you want. Don't ask where you want me to see Rookie.
No, because I think we both want to see him in the same place.
Hey, he had a great off season. Let's just say that.
We all had a great off season.
Yeah.
Not as great as Jarrett Allen, though.
Oh yeah, well,
I want to talk shit, but I went to the 85 mile an hour batting cages, was rocking the ball, so I don't want to hear any garbage.
So this show had a chance to be nuclear, but the Guardians redeemed themselves. Made a couple moves, getting Lane Thomas from the Washington Nationals, and then Alex Cobb from the San Francisco Giants. We all know Thomas kills left-handed pitching at 28 home runs last year for the Nationals. According to Vogt, he's going to be an everyday player. Cobb was an all-star last year, 7-7 with a 3.87 ERA. Almost pitched a no-hitter. Had the off-season hip surgery. He was just about to come back with the Giants. He just made his last rehab start. It sounds like they're going to make him have him make one rehab start, probably with Columbus, and then join the rotation along with Matthew Boyd. So we get some reinforcements in that rotation coming up. What are your guys' thoughts on the moves yesterday and the day before?
I mean, with Cobb, it's great to have him, I guess. I mean, because we need another starting pitcher, we need somebody who can go hopefully 5 innings. But Also, with him having the chemistry and have actually played with Stephen Vogt in the Rays organization, that was I didn't know that till today. That was some pretty good information that they have that bond and that trust. So for Cobb to actually have a postseason win in Progressive Field as well when he started the wild card game against the then Indians and Danny Salazar, he pissed us all off that night with that victory, and hopefully he can redeem himself and get some victories for the Guardians in that same Progressive Field. So I guess it's exciting, but if you look at the trade deadline as a whole, though, I don't think any of us. I think we can agree that any of us thought that there was any starting pitcher that was just a must-have out there. I didn't see it. I didn't feel it. It felt like it was a bunch, maybe a threes and fours and five starters. Which, hey, for our issues, we will take pretty much anything. Which that's what this trade really ended up being for Cobb. What's your guys' thoughts on that? Because there's potential there for this to be a real nice move, and then there's potential just that he can't pitch, physically can't pitch.
Well, I want to. What do you consider Flattery?
He was the only one, in my opinion, that was the top tier.
Yeah,
and then
right.
Is he a 2-3? Somewhere in there.
He's a solid 2.
He's like he's a solid 2.
But then I heard reports that there were some things with his health that came back where I don't know, was it the Dodgers maybe? Who was concerned with that? Was it it was the Yankees, that's right. So I don't know.
I mean, he's pitching great this year. So I don't know. I don't know I didn't hear anything about the health. I mean, where did he end up going? He ended up going to LA, right?
LA.
Yeah.
So
I forgot about that.
The rich get richer, but that's, I think the one thing you do have to look at when you're you have to be mindful, because from what I understand, and I know not the only one who has heard this, is that pretty much most trades and I was supposed to say Cavs, the Guardians were trying to be active, but most teams in any bigger trade wanted Chase DeLauter, and the Guardians are just he's about as untouchable as they come. So I think if that was even a conversation, DeLauter is probably involved, and the answer was absolutely not. And with what he's been doing since coming back, I obviously it's not someone you're going to trade, but Flattery would have been a nice pick, because if his health is good, like Kevin said, he's a solid number 2. That would have been a really good piece to add to the rotation. But Alex Cobb, that is a very, in my opinion, it's a low risk pickup that makes the front office look like they tried. Like if he ends up coming out and pitching great, then it's going to look phenomenal on the front office. If he comes out and doesn't do anything or doesn't even pitch, it's like, well, we didn't really give up anything for him. So, he's 36 years old. It's it's not like we're not getting a 20 something year old, like a number 2 type pitcher, 1 or 2 type pitcher. So I think that it's low risk, high reward. If he pitches good, the front office looks phenomenal. If he doesn't pitch at all or pitches like garbage, it was like, okay, well, we didn't give up anything for him, and we were just trying to improve, so it doesn't look that terrible on the front office. So that's where I found the pitching. As far as Lane Thomas, really like that move. He's hitting, he's 250, hitting about 250 this year. He's got to 26 stolen bases, 8 home runs, 40 RBIs. He's solid across the board. The only thing that's my concern is I really want to see John Kenzie Noel get more everyday at bats, because I think that he just has something. He's got that power, but he needs, and I followed him, when I covered the captains, and every single from the captains to Akron to Columbus, he follows the same pattern. He comes up, he starts slow until he starts recognizing the pitching, and then he just hits bombs. That's what he does. He starts slow, and then he gets really hot, and so I would like to see him get more at bats, but I think that Thomas will probably, he's probably going to be right field, and I think that's probably where you're going to see. I think you're going to see Noel take less at bats there. So hopefully, there's maybe they'll switch Noel to DH because I think he needs the swings. But as far as Thomas, I'd like to pick up. Hopefully, he can. Like Kevin said, he smashes lefties. Had 28 home runs last year. He's already got a ton of stolen bases this year, and 8 home runs, 40 RBIs is nothing to scoff at. 40 RBIs is what, like third on the team, third or fourth?
Yeah,
I'm not, right around there. So solid pickup. I like it a lot, and we'll see what happens moving forward. Derek, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I know they mentioned something about the coaches working with Thomas as a center fielder, trying to open up right field for Noel to still get those at bats. He definitely has the speed, as you mentioned, Joey. He's a speed demon on the base paths. We saw it yesterday. He is batting second. First couple at bats, couple strikeouts, but then he gets on base. Jose knocks him in. That's what you need out of your 2-hole hitter. And he looks the part. And he was someone that we brought up last year on Guardians of the CLE when we were kind of tossing some names around of who's a right-handed outfielder that can benefit this team. Didn't work out last year, but it was clear that the front office liked him enough to kind of circle back. Has another year of arbitration after this year. So he's someone that they have control of for next year. And, you re-up with them. And if we're not in the running, you can flip them for a AA prospect or something a year from now. Or if we're where we want to be and stuff, he's a solid option, better than the Miles Straw, Florial, some Laureano, some of these other guys that they've tried to plug in out in the outfield just to try to get something to spark. But he's better than a lot of options. I know some were upset with what they gave up, but in the grand scheme of things, I said a few weeks ago they had to thin the herd, and they traded from their positions of strength. The middle infield, Tenna, was kind of in no man's land, kind of where Arias is right now. We have a lot of those guys that are kind of tweeners between AAA and the bigs, and you can't have that when you're trying to be a playoff team trying to go where they want to go. So trading from that stockpile to get a guy that can perform, and he's putting up those numbers on the Washington Nationals, who are one of the worst teams and probably would be a whole lot worse off if they weren't in the same division as the Marlins. So he didn't have a lot of protection. I know they have CJ Abrams and a few other guys, but he wasn't batting ahead of Jose Ramirez. So he's going to see a lot of pitches. If he can put the bat on the ball, good things are going to happen. And I like that move. As both James and Joey said, with Alex Cobb, he really gave up nothing in the grand scheme. So if you get anything out of him, and the bar right now is Cookie Carrasco. So can he give you what Cookie has given you for this season? And as James, and I don't know if Joey mentioned, but I know James did, he has the postseason experience. He won a game in Cleveland, which it feels a lot more recent than it actually was. But when you start throwing around Danny Salazar and he's like a ghost of Christmas past at this point. But yeah, I think he's a good, solid veteran for the rotation, and with Bybee and Gavin Williams being your 1-2 right now, they're young. They need that veteran kind of to have there. And I know Bieber's still around, and you hope Boyd and maybe McKenzie can kind of join the rotation here in the next couple weeks. But Alex Cobb gives them that piece, and like they said, it at least shows that the front office was willing to make a move. They weren't just going to sit on their hands like they did last year. I know they moved Rosario and Savali, but that was more, kind of waving the white flag, even though both of those guys weren't part of the long-term plans here. So they flipped Savali for Manzardo, so he's, a top prospect within the organization. But I know I mentioned to you, Kevin, it'll be interesting after this season to see what moves they make this off season, because the Guardians aren't prone to go out on the open market. So some of these other guys like George Valera or Juan Brito, are they names that come up in trades to try to get a top of the line starter, or try to boost the outfield a little bit more than they were able to here at this deadline?
Yeah, I agree. And as far as trading DeLauder goes, there's only one guy that was rumored to be traded that I would have given him up for, and that's Taras Skubal from Detroit. He's a 27-year-old lefty who's probably the top Cy Young candidate in the American League, but he ended up not getting traded. So that means I was kind of wondering. Yeah,
smart move.
I was surprised Detroit was even entertaining off the arm. But I was, like Derek said, I was in the same mindset, worried because we've seen this so many times in the past that they weren't going to make a move. It was going to be, we got Matthew Boyd. That's like adding, an arm at the deadline, or Josh Naylor's back. That's like adding a bat at the deadline, or, Noel. But so I give them credit. It's not what a lot of people wanted to see, but they filled some needs. Sure, they did give up a decent amount for Thomas. Alex Clemmie is a nice left-handed pitching prospect, number 8 prospect. He has a bright future ahead of him. Tanya was, like you said, blocked, and the chances he's gotten up here, he's looked pretty overmatched at the plate. And then Rafael Ramirez is another in the long line of talented young middle infielders, which, like Derek said, they needed to thin the herd at that position. So, but Thomas definitely fills a position of need. And, they gave up Jacob Bresnahan, who's another young left-handed pitcher for Cobb, not ranked in the top 30, but didn't give up much for him, like you said. And we'll see where it goes, if Cobb's healthy. And by all accounts, they've said in his rehab appearances, he's felt great. So, they just need somebody to eat innings.
Yeah, that's exactly. They need someone who can go five innings. If you can give him 5 innings, that's all you need. The bullpen can take it from there. I do want to say this though, is that just kind of piggybacking a little bit off of what Derek said, but adding to it is I really like Thomas in that second in the 2 hole. I like Juan 1, Thomas 2, because Jimenez has been a second half player for the last 2 years. It just seems like he really picks up the back end of the year. So I like him further back in that, in that 5 hole behind Naylor, 5 or 6, depending on if David Fry can, stay around that 300 mark, and that gives us more speed at the top of the lineup and more speed at, where Jimenez usually goes. So I think that just adds a lot more to that value, is where we can play him, and hopefully he can his bat and everything starts coming around a little bit more than like it was last season.
As far as Thomas goes too, I don't know if we mentioned, Derek, while you were talking, I was trying to look it up, that he's got a pretty good arm out there in the outfield. He's supposed to be near the top in outfield assists, so that's another plus that we gained from him. I know it was mentioned. It was something that was already in my head, but it was something I was watching and kind of referencing before our show. The talk of Brandon Guyer, when we added Brandon Guyer, that right-handed bat that just kills left-handed pitching. So it's just exciting to have another piece like that. It just feels like a Tito move, but I guess maybe since Tito's not around now, that's more a front office thing from the past, where a lot of people go, "Yeah, it's a Tito guy." Well, it's probably more just it's an organization guy. So, but I think it's going to be a plus, and I hope he has a big moment in the postseason.
And that's a really good analogy too. Is it might, he's not a superstar, but it just might be the right piece to finish the puzzle. And that's, I think that's the way you have to look at it. Is they didn't need to go for a giant swing on someone maybe like the Yankees got Jazz Chisholm. That's not. I don't think they had to take a big swing like that, because that would have cost a lot more than what we gave up for Thomas. But I think right piece, right time, might be what we need to. And I love how the Guardians get no national media coverage. Like once it's like once every 2 months someone will mention the Guardians, but it's always the Dodgers and the Yankees and Baltimore, and
because they move the needles.
Yeah, the Phillies.
Yeah.
So I like staying kind of in the shadows a little bit, even though we're tied with the best record in the majors, and they just got a piece that makes us better.
The one analogy I gave last week, I went on a Boston area show, the Pesky Podcast. Those guys are a good group, and they had a bunch of people on there from that purport and cover the different teams in the American League. And I compared the trade deadline for us to kind of like where you're at Walmart and you're circling the $5 Blu-ray bin, and there's some good movies in there, but you're not going to spend a lot, and that's pretty much what we did. I think we got some bargain discounts because that's what the budget called for. But hopefully, these guys, their movies are going to end well in the postseason.
And I agree with Joey 100%. You got to keep Big Christmas in the lineup, and that's where his versatility. He came up as a third baseman in the minor leagues, but he started playing outfield, started playing first base. So. We'll put him at first base the other day. So, like you said, maybe he could split first base and DH with Naylor. Although Vogt seems to like to move the DH spot around and put different guys there to kind of give him a break from the field. But yeah, I want to see Noel's bat in there because he's going to strike out a lot. He's a young power hitter, but if he can do what he's doing now, hitting a big bomb every 3, 4, 5 games, it's well worth it. Just to have that threat in there.
Well, and I think you've all watched him, come up through the minors like I have, and it's just that repeated pattern of he comes up, he struggles for the first month and a half, and then before you know it, he has 25 homers, and you're like, what the hell? Where did how many games has this guy been playing? Because it takes him a while, a little bit to adjust, but once he does. He puts that. I mean, he's got the sound. The ball hits the bat, it's gone. And I've heard, his first home run. I remember closing my eyes and just hearing it, and that's what you want in the lineup. But he needs to get consistent at bats, and I don't know. I'm hoping that those consistent at bats stay and they don't diminish. With Thomas in the lineup, because. I think that he has the ability to be a 40 home run a year guy. I don't know if I don't think he's gonna hit 300. I think he's gonna be a guy that's gonna hit maybe like 250, but hit 40 homers. He's got that. I mean, he's got that power.
Sign me up.
And I think that he sees more pitching, he's gonna wait on breaking balls, and instead of just going for the fastball, and that's all stuff. He's only 22. I mean, he is a young player with a big future ahead of him, but he's got to get those at bats in. So hopefully we see him, either at first base or DH, splitting time with Naylor. But hopefully he consistently gets those at bats so he can get better, and we could start seeing the do what he does as he gets accustomed to the pitching in the majors, as he's done from single A on through the minors, and just start hitting bombs.
Well, you mentioned the breaking balls, and when he first joined the team in the minors, he was Pedro Cerrato. He would kill the fastball, couldn't hit the breaking ball, and he's really worked hard on hitting the breaking ball, and it's paying off.
Yeah, and it's I mean, every time you jump up, I mean, the stuff gets nastier and nastier. I mean, the top pitchers in the MLB are not the same type of pitchers that you're seeing in AAA on a daily basis. And AAA is not the same as you see in AA. Every step up is quite a jump, and that's why a lot of times there's that. You have to. A lot of guys need to get accustomed to seeing that kind of stuff, and that's where the repetition, the at-bats day after day after day come from. And Noel, every single time he's moved up, it takes him time because the breaking balls are they're a lot nastier than he's seen before, so he just has to sit back on it, and that's exactly what he's gonna have to do here. The more he sees, the more he's going to sit back. And he's got I think they say he's got the second fastest bat speed in the majors next to Aaron Judge, which that's crazy if you think about it. So I get more at bats in and sit on those breaking pitches so you could crush them. But that kid's he's got all the ability in the world. And I have no doubt that he's going to be a massive player for the Guardians for a long time.
All right, before we get off the baseball subject, I want to give a big shout out to our new show, Prospects of the Land, with Taven McCulley and Nick Hope. They've had a couple nice interviews last week. They had Ryan Webb from the Rubber Ducks, left-handed pitching prospect who you're going to see in Cleveland here really soon. Just a great dude. I had a chance to interview him back in 2021. Awesome guy. That was a great interview. And then last night they had 18th round draft pick from this year, Isaac Martinez, who seemed like a really great kid. Another great interview. And Nate and Taven are killing it. They've got great chemistry, and they've got some other big interviews lined up. So stay tuned for those. Pretty exciting stuff.
Keep it up, guys.
And you can catch that right here on Believeland Media across all platforms.
All right, so Colby Altman and the Cavs kind of threw everybody a curveball today, signing Jarrett Allen to a 3-year, $91 million max extension. Very interesting. There was a lot of rumors about him being traded, but obviously with his old coach, Kenny Atkinson, coming here, and then Donovan Mitchell speaking out saying he wants him here, that wasn't going to happen. And now we all thought, maybe Evan Mobley is going to be the future center, but I really don't know what to make of the extension. I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts on it.
Are you guys looking at me since I'm kind of the Cavs guy?
You're like the resident Cavs guy. So.
You can go ahead because I think Kevin already had the same answer I did. I just didn't see that coming either.
I love J.A. I really do. I think that this move definitely puts the Cavs in a box. I mean, there's not much. I mean, they have the big four, and I'm putting that in quotations here. They got who they want. They got Darius, they got Donovan, Mobley, Allen. Everyone's locked up for 3 years or longer. But we need to see the results now. You can't say, okay, well, we got who we want. That's great, you got who you want. But I'm looking around the landscape of the NBA and going, well, everyone else is getting who they want, and they're getting. The Knicks were a great team, and the Knicks got better. Boston's a great team, and they don't need to get any better because they just have the right players. They, drafting and trading, and there's nothing the Cavs have done that has made them better. They've kept the pieces in place that have gotten them this far. The Cavs a playoff team? Absolutely. But the Cavs are they need, and I'm not going to sit here and pound on the table. They need a wing, even though they need a wing. I know we drafted Tyson, but is he the the wing that, is he going to be the starter? I don't know. Probably not. I can't imagine they're going to start him over, and we don't know what we're doing with Okoro. What's the rumors with Okoro? Is it a Dorian Finney-Smith?
That's
some sort of deal.
I know. 2-inch taller Isaac Okoro.
I know they're interested in if they can somehow swing a Cam Johnson. Yeah, that I would be extremely. I would say, okay, the Cavs now have gotten better. If they can trade Okoro, a sign and trade of Okoro and someone else for Cam Johnson, absolutely. I won't say a word about anything because I love Cam Johnson.
Same.
But as of right now, we just re-signed so we can be a first or second round exit. And that's not me saying that I don't have faith in Donovan Mitchell or J.A. or Mobley or Garland, but we all said, 2 years ago that Darius Garland was on the cusp of being a superstar. We were saying that Evan Mobley is going to be a superstar. Jarrett Allen he was already good when he was in Brooklyn. We got him for basically nothing. And you'll never hear me talk bad about Jarrett Allen. I think that he is, as advertised, he's a walking double-double. He's a guy that can get you 10, 15 every single night and shoot, 75, 80%. So I love Jarrett Allen at center. But I think that we're still waiting for that big jump from Garland, that big jump from Mobley. And without any other moves, that's the only thing that's going to actually boost the Cavs into another echelon, another tier in the NBA. Because right now I look at them and I say they're like a 4, 5, 6 seed. They're not. I'll ask you guys: are they better than Boston?
Nope.
Are they better than the Knicks?
No.
Are they better than Philly?
No.
Probably not. I'm not saying anything because you sound just like me about a month ago, guys. We're on the same page.
I know they beat them in the playoffs, but can you even say, are they better? Are they really that much better than Orlando?
No, because
they won't be.
Yeah. And they made it. They added Caldwell Pope, which is a nice move for them.
Yeah, I think that I'm happy that we're keeping the guys that got us to this point, but we need to make another addition. And now with everyone getting these max contracts, I don't know where it comes from. If there's some way that they can swing that trade for Cam Johnson, that's great. If they trade Okoro for
Finney-Smith.
Yeah, thank you. For
Finney-Smith. If I see him in the mall, I wouldn't even recognize him.
I think Okoro is a better player, personally. Now, which is why if you can, swing Okoro and someone else for Cam Johnson, yes, different ball game. Now I could say, okay, yeah, I love the G-Wagon. He's a great guy. Yeah. I think he's a tough player. There was a lot of games this year where he played tough when we needed him to play tough to get us some wins. I'm not down on Niang like a lot of people are. I think that he can help the Cavs and he can help other teams. But I think that, if that's a deal to be made, Niang and Okoro for Cam Johnson, you may have to throw something else in there too. That's because that's by itself isn't going to get the deal done. But that, would be a trade that then I would say, okay, now if we see Garland make a leap and we see Mobley make a leap, you add Cam Johnson in there. Now, with Spider, with J.A., now that's a starting five. Then you still have Strus that could come off the bench. Kevin's favorite player, Dean Wade. Hopefully
his jersey behind you.
Hopefully Ty Jerome is healthy this year because I thought that was a great pickup last year. Yeah, and we just, unfortunately, he was hurt all year.
I had the same amount of minutes as Ty Jerome.
Yeah, worst ankle injury of all time.
You have the same amount of points as Ty Jerome. had last year. But that was a good pickup, and unfortunately, he was just hurt all year. So whatever the problem was, I think that if he is healthy this year, he's going to be a very nice addition. I think Sam Merrill, if you still got guys that can come off the bench if you make a trade for someone like Cam Johnson. But if you don't make any trade, you're praying that Garland and Mobley make the jump that we were praying they were going to make last year and 2 years ago. So it's basically where it's at. Are they going to be a playoff team? Probably. Are they going to make a splash? No. Am I glad J.A. got an extension? Absolutely. I think that he absolutely deserved it. I think that he probably deserved it as much as anybody. Okay. I mean, you could say what you want about him and the playoffs and his rib injury. You know what? If he didn't feel like he could play, who are we to say no? Get out there and break a rib more. I'm not gonna demonize a guy for not wanting to play injured. However,
that's Ty Jerome.
That's Ty Jerome. He said he got the amputation.
Thanks for talking about me, Joey.
Jarrett Allen has been the most consistent player on the team. Whenever Mobley's been down, Jarrett Allen steps up. When another player goes down, Jarrett Allen steps up. When everyone's healthy, Jarrett Allen is still getting you 15 and 10. So if anyone on that team deserved an extension, it is Jarrett Allen. And, if you didn't want to trade him, I get it. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell didn't want to trade him. And then what do you want to do when you're the front office? You want to keep your superstar happy. So why are you going to trade an all-star like, Jarrett Allen was an all-star, what, a year ago? 2 years ago?
A couple of years ago in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Him and Garland.
Yeah. But Jarrett Allen was an all-star 2 years ago. And your superstar now wants to keep him. Okay. Well, I'm not going to argue with it. So,
and it felt like last year was probably his best season.
I think he could have been an all-star last year too.
He got snubbed. Yeah.
There's a lot of good centers in the East, but I think Allen's probably in the top three. I mean, Embiid is definitely one. Derek left, maybe.
He was the player to be named later.
Yeah, Derek was a player.
I thought you got taken, Derek. Didn't even say goodbye or anything. Just left the field.
I'd say probably Bam Adebayo, but I almost look at Bam more like a power forward than I do a true center. But I just can't think of any centers in the East.
No, I would say Joey. I'm very, very much with you. Allen deserved the extension. The way he played last year and picking it up as far as points and rebounds when guys were down like Evan Mobley, outstanding work. I think the extension kind of tells us. I think it tells us more about how the organization obviously really feels rather than how it left in the playoffs with that rib injury when everybody, at least through the media, through the fans, were questioning his toughness. I was concerned with it too. Like, why can't you just shoot up and get out there? But apparently, his teammates and the organization want him around. So, but it's been weeks since you've been on with me, Joey. I think so. What I've did now since 2016 is when you have a championship team like that we're not used to, right? We're not used to championship teams. But I'm gonna always compare what we have, whether it be the Cavs to the Cavs or the Indians and the Browns to the Cavs, and what a championship team looks like in our city. This team feels to me more like the Price, Doherty, Nance teams that may get to Eastern Conference Finals, and that's about it because of the strength of the East. Back in those days, of course, they were battling Jordan and Bird and those Pistons teams. I really think, like you're saying, where are we at on that rung of teams and that list in the Eastern Conference? And I really think just projecting out, no matter how good or how many points Mitchell can score, and the elevation of what we expect of what Mobley can do as he ages and matures and his body fills out, and hopefully becomes more of a scoring option and gets more touches and shots throughout the game. unless Mobley has that big jump. Because I know you mentioned Garland too, and Garland, had his face rearranged how many times in the last couple of years.
Yeah,
I think he can get back to that ceiling where he was when he was an All-Star. I just don't know how much better he's going to get if Mobley's getting more touches. Mitchell's going to be Mitchell. Allen, will go ahead and not have to take as many shots. So maybe his points come down the same way at Kevin Love when he joined the Cavs, where he wasn't as much of a scorer. He was the third option. So my point is, I think no matter if we don't make some kind of move, this is more like a team that we really like, where we like the players and we enjoy the basketball. But I just don't know if we're good enough to be at that championship level of what we had at 2016 to where we can get past the teams that are now in the East that LeBron maybe didn't have to face on his second attempt back in Cleveland.
And I agree with everything you just said. I think the biggest thing is Garland to stay healthy, number one, because every time he gets hurt, every time he gets punched in the face, which seems like at least twice a year, and he's out for 10, 15 games, it takes, then there's that readjustment period. It takes 10 games to kind of get back in the swing of things. And we can't afford that. And then number two, Mobley needs to take a monumental, it's not like a small leap. Mobley needs to take a massive leap this year. He needs to be a over 20 point per game scorer, with 12 boards, 3 blocks, a couple steals. I mean, that's average. I mean, that's where Mobley needs to get to. So if he gets to that, then I can understand, or I could see the Cavs, maybe moving up to that 4th spot. But so I'm looking at Clarence Wilson's comments.
Corey Snyder.
Hey, Corey was just at the National signing autographs, so.
But like I said, again, I don't know if I see that big of a jump ahead. It's possible, but to me, the best thing they could possibly do is try and trade for someone like Cam Johnson before the season starts. Outside of that, you're praying that Garland, like you said, how much more can Garland do? Donovan's going to score 25 to 30 a night, maybe more. How much more could Garland do? Assists maybe. If Garland can get back, what was he 2 years ago? He was like 22 points and like 9 assists or something like that. If he could get back to that with Mobley, averaging over 20 points and whatever, that's a different conversation. But again, I still feel that they need another piece. I think they need another starter. I don't want to be the guy banging on the table saying they need a wing, but they need a freaking wing, man. And that's just the way it is.
Well, I think the trade to be made for Cam Johnson is Karis LeVert and Isaac Okoro. But the question is, do you want to use Karis LeVert's expiring contract now, or do you want to wait till the trade deadline and maybe there's a better piece available?
You know what? I'll tell you right now what I would do. Go ahead and start talking about something else. I'll pop in a second. Because I think the biggest thing that you need to look at when you're doing, when you're talking about, would you do it now or would you do it later, is I don't know what Cam Johnson's contract is right now. What the I know what the number is. I don't know the years.
Right.
Keep talking. I'll look it up.
He still has 3 years. So yes, I would use Karis LeVert right now. A LeVert and a Okoro if you could for Cam Johnson, yes, because then you have 3 years of Cam Johnson and he's only, I think, 26. Excuse me.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. He's 28. Yeah,
he's signed through 2026-27.
Yeah, and he was on a pretty terrible Nets team. And they were rotating him in and out like crazy, and he really wasn't getting he was getting more minutes at the end of the season and wasn't getting so many minutes in the beginning, but still managed to average almost 14 points, 3 assists, 5 rebounds, and shot almost 40% from 3. And that was, splitting time like crazy. I think he was averaging like 26 minutes. So I think that I absolutely would. I think that there's a big upside with him. He's 6'8". Get him on the floor with J.A. and Mobley and Mitchell and Garland, and I think things are going to open up for him, and I could see him being a 16 to 20 point night guy too. That I think that he's we talk about pieces like we talked about Thomas with the Guardians. I think Cam Johnson with the Cavaliers is a great piece, right fit for the team, but we'll see. I don't think I think that everyone I love LeVert. I think the Cavs love LeVert. The front office does. I know Donovan Mitchell does. The whole team does. So I don't think that they're going to trade him, unless it's for a bigger piece. For me, Cam Johnson, I really like him, but I don't know if he's worth LeVert to the front office.
And I think getting Giannis back in the East, got to have somebody to guard at that 3 spot.
Yeah, and I think that's another team. Giannis healthy with Dame. Are the Cavs better than the Bucks with a healthy Giannis? No. Now the Cavs are the 6th ranked team.
Now you're in my neighborhood, Joey.
Yeah,
because that's where I've been.
Now you're.
I even threw Indiana out there.
Yeah,
Indiana's coming.
Keep talking. They're going to be in the play-in tournament soon.
Hey guys, and don't forget, keep in mind the best players in the world are over at the Olympics right now, and we don't have one over there.
Donovan Mitchell should be on that team.
Here we go.
Tell
me right
now,
hold on, Joey, that this is why James compared this to the Mark Price, Brad Daugherty teams, because they did not have a number 1, and he thinks this team doesn't have a number 1 either.
I said Mitchell is their number 1, but when you compare him to the other ones, and just even in the East,
no, it is. Just tell me right now: is Donovan Mitchell better than Derek White?
Yeah, but he needs. Then why isn't he on the team? I want to know: was he offered a spot or not?
Maybe because he stayed in Cleveland. And it's Cleveland versus the world.
Yeah, because it's a hot vacation spot this summer.
It's Cleveland versus the world.
I think I saw Yannick Noah out on Lake Erie on a paddleboard. Or Joakim Noah.
I heard the Cavs are going to trade for Thanasis Antetokounmpo.
Yep, that's right, Clarence. I see you, Clarence. I see you. That was for you.
No, Donovan Mitchell is better than Derek White and should be on that team. But
agreed.
I understand the reason that Derek White is possibly, I shouldn't say possibly, in my opinion, he's the best defensive shooting guard in the NBA. I mean, that guy plays like he's 6'10" and he's 6'4". So absolutely, I'm not taking anything away from him. He 100% also deserved a spot on the team, but he is not better than Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell's better. Donovan Mitchell could have been on that team. So it is what it is, but I'm not going to sit here. I think Donovan Mitchell's better than probably like 4 players on that team. But
Derek, I know you kind of cut
as a scorer.
Any thoughts on JA signing?
Like Joey said, it kind of ties their hands. You have the big 4, and then you need Strus to step up. You need LeVert to step up, or you hope that you can get a Cam Johnson in a trade. But I feel like if that was a viable option, Kobe Altman would have done it yesterday. So this may be the team that we get. You hope that you can flip Okoro for someone, because I don't see him coming back in any scenario. But yeah, I think that the big 4, and like Joey said, you have to put that in quotations, but that is the Cavs for the next 3 years. And then you hope that some of the role players can kind of step up and do better than they did this past year, or it could be a play-in tournament situation, barring injury for the people ahead of them. But on paper, there's at least 5, maybe 6 teams in the East that you could make a very strong argument are better than the Cavs, at least on paper. And here on July 31st, that's about all we have. And Derek White spells his name wrong, so there's that.
I like it.
You know, if we can't strike a deal for Okoro, I am very interested in seeing what someone is going to pay him. I want to know what he is actually worth. Because I think someone will give him like $18 million a year.
Detroit.
Some team is going to. Every year it happens. Every year there's like 5 or 6 players who get a ton of money, and I'm not saying Okoro isn't worth. Sorry, that's my press star co-host Dean Samples telling me he's going to SummerSlam and SmackDown. So, yeah. But it's every year there's a couple of players who just get overpaid. Now, I don't know what overpaid is for Okoro. He obviously has made big strides, but it's been, 5 years? 4 years? I really like Isaac Okoro. People forget he's still only like 22 years old. He's still a really young player. And you know who I hate to be, I hate to say this because I know I'm going to jinx it. Okoro always kind of reminded me of Jimmy Butler. Like, it took Jimmy Butler like 6 or 7 years before he became Jimmy Butler. Like, he wasn't a guy that like came into the league, lit it on fire, and he was just an automatic. No, it took him a long time to become Jimmy Butler, to become the good, as good as he is. And Okoro,
but I think he had it inside of him, though. It just didn't come out yet. I don't think Okoro has that killer instinct. I think you could send him to the charge and he'd be lucky to get 22 a night.
Oh, come on!
I don't think he has that score. I don't think he has that scoring dog in him.
I think Okoro would score 45 a night on the charge. I could score at least 15. That's
I can't wait to see this. I want to cover that game.
Joey on the block.
Kevin, get me. I need a media credential for that night.
That is an absolute joke. You know what? I actually I want to see Amani Bates get some minutes this year.
Yeah.
I really liked Bates last year, and I think that he got better with the charge, and he had a really good summer league. And I would love to see Bates on the team this year. Maybe getting 10 minutes a game.
Well, I mentioned it. If the two guys we've been waiting to kind of step up, the two young guys with Bates and then Luke Travers.
Travers ain't coming.
No, I mean that's two guys that fit that prototypical size wing that they're looking for. But,
Bates, Bates has he's got the height. He's got a short arm span. And I know that sounds weird, but that's a big thing when you're talking about small forward is just the ability to shoot over people and get blocks and stuff like that. But Bates he also has just an ability to he learns. Like, he's such a quick learner. I think that college aside, obviously what's done, that happened. He came back better for it. But he is a quick learner, and he knew last year. I remember I was talking to him, and he said, he was in no rush to get to the NBA. He's like, I want to learn. I want to play for the charge. I remember I asked him, what if you had something to say to the fans, what would it be? He's like, go Cavs and go Charge. He was the only player, that I interviewed that was on, that played for the Charge that said go Charge. Like him, he knew that he needed to learn, and that's exactly what he did. And when you have that mentality of, okay, I know I'm good, but I know that I'm going to be better, and I know what I have to do to become better, that's when you see players like Amani Bates, who was a second-round pick, and you had guys like Kevin Durant coming out saying how much they liked Amani Bates, on draft day. and to see him put the work in, know what he had to do. I think that you're going to see the fruit of that labor at some point, whether it's this season or next season or somewhere down the line. I think that that's going to pay off. I think if you do end up making a trade, I think you'll see more Craig Porter as well. Because I think you can not only plug him in, obviously at point guard, but you could put him at the 2 as well. So I think that would be, if you lose a Niang or Coro, Levert, I think that Bates and Porter can potentially step up if we trade for a guy, like I said, like a Cam Johnson. Because outside of that, there's no name that I could think of that is available that would make the Cavs better.
No, and it's nice to see Emoni Bates humbled now, and with the whole different attitude, because in college it was give me the ball, get out of the way, I'm the only player you got. But now he knows he needs to get better. He knows what he needs to do, and he's done a complete 180 attitude wise now that he's in the pros, which is a good sign for sure.
What you said about the Cavs getting better, it's not just them getting better than themselves. It's, are they better than the teams we talked about above them in the East? That's going to be the key.
Well, like I said, I think that if you add and this is just me personally, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm, the know-all knowledge of basketball, because that's absolutely BS. No, there's no media person out there who is. I think the best people who talk about basketball are actually the players themselves. But I think from being able to look at, being able to watch games, not just the Cavs, but obviously a lot of the NBA as I do. So same with the NFL, same with the MLB. I watch as much sports as I possibly can. And my wife hates me for it, but but you can watch someone like a Cameron Johnson on the Nets and be like, he would be so much better on another team. And like I said, you can see his minutes kind of up and down, and he's in the lineup, he's out of lineup, and it's then he ends up with just this weird mixed mash of, like I said, of minutes where it's like, okay, he averaged 26 minutes, but if you actually watch the games, it was just really, they get blown out, and they put him in, or they're up by 30 and they put him in, and it's just this. He's a really good player who I think could help the Cavs. Now, if you put him on the Cavs, I think that's a really good piece. I think he's someone who would benefit from being on the Cavaliers, and I think you would see his numbers go up, and I don't think you would see anyone else's numbers go down. So if you add Cam Johnson as a starter to the Cavs, then I could say, well, they're possibly better. They might be a 4. They might be the 4th best team. I mean, you're still not going to put them over the Celtics, but it's better than being 6th or 7th. I mean, it puts them into the realm of it's possible. I mean, but they could re-sign a Coro, and a Coro could come out and score 15 plus a night.
Yeah,
that's not true. I said Mitchell's a 1. Mitchell's a 1 for the Cavs. Mitchell's a 1 in the NBA. Mitchell is not one of the one of ones, though, that I believe. If you're taking, are you taking us? Look at it. We're almost at it 1 hour right now. The one thing I'm most proud of is we haven't had to talk crazy ass Browns training camp stuff yet. But Clarence, I know he's a 1. I just don't think he's one of the top ones in the East. Even when Spider's going to be at his best, I don't think. Who are they going to be? Are they going to be a favorite against the Knicks too? I don't see that.
In my opinion, Donovan Mitchell is a top 15 player in the league.
Scorer, I'll give you.
No, just player. How many times last year and the year before where it was crunch time and we needed defense and Donovan stepped up. Guy, he played 40 plus minutes in an overtime game and he's still going 100 miles an hour with a limp. I mean, Donovan Mitchell is a top 15 player in the league. There's a lot of players who I would take him over who people probably wouldn't agree with me on. But I mean, you're talking about a guy who's, what is he, a 6-time All-Star now, and he's only 27 years old. He's definitely a top 15 player in the league.
Let me ask you this real quick, Joey. If Donovan Mitchell's on the Bucks next to Giannis, is he out of the big three, like LeBron 1, Kyrie 2, Love 3? Where does Mitchell stand next to Giannis?
He's number 2.
Right. And that was my point when I was having that conversation. There are other
yes, there are other players. I mean, Giannis, Embiid, Doncic. There's obviously Jokic. There's players who are obviously better, but I think that number starts to dwindle when you start getting towards like number 9, number 10. Would you rather have LeBron for a year or 2, or would you rather have Donovan Mitchell for 3 and possibly the rest of his career? I mean, that's that. I mean, LeBron's LeBron, but Donovan averages LeBron numbers. It's not that far of that big of a difference. And it's also position, I mean, he's arguably top 3 or 4 shooting guards in the league. I mean, he's one of the best players by far in the league. So, but yeah, I mean, when you're talking a Giannis, an Embiid, a Jokic, a Doncic, Tatum. I think Donovan Mitchell is better than Jaylen Brown.
Yeah,
I think
Brown.
Yeah, I think you put Mitchell
scoring wise, sure.
I think both. I mean, obviously they play different positions. Jaylen Brown's 6'7", right. Mitchell 6'3", but I think number one, you keep saying scoring. Donovan Mitchell's defense is heavily underrated. That he has had some big time steals, some big time blocks, diving on the floor for loose balls. Mitchell is when he is a dog when he needs to be, and he doesn't let up. I mean, how many times is he like? Have we seen him limping on the court? But he's doing everything he can to win the game. Not a lot of players do that, or they do, and they can't put up still score the last 15 points of a game like Mitchell can. So yeah, obviously there's the number ones in the league, the big ones, but Mitchell to me still top 15, and I think he'd be the number 1 on a lot of teams. Be talking some Browns training camp, unfortunately now.
No, I think we'll save that for next week. Training camp's underway. First preseason game is next Saturday. Football's really starting to ramp up. High school gets underway in 3 weeks. Ohio State's opener against Akron is exactly 1 month from today. And then, like I said, the Browns preseason starts up next Saturday, and regular season just a little more than a month away. We got one last comment from Clarence.
Different positions, Clarence. Different positions.
He's right.
So yeah, we'll get into a lot more football talk next week. But appreciate you guys joining us. We went over an hour. Good show, guys.
Sorry,
42 live.
That's all right. Kevin's paying overtime this week.
This is what happens when you have me on the show. I got jacked up with the Cavs.
Appreciate you all for tuning in, and we will talk to you next Monday.